All right. Okay, it looks like we're back on again. It looks like the whole internet dumped over here. So it's my fault. I'm sorry about that. I hope you guys come back. I'm just going to continue reading, if you don't mind, where I left off. Sorry about this. It's been a very, very tricky day, and we've hardly started. Okay, so I was reading from Mark Moss and his latest newsletter, and I'm going to carry on from where I was. It's about the idea that secession is spreading quickly. What he means by that is that there are significant millions of people in America who choose not to participate in the agenda that is being forced upon us. And so it's like having a secession, okay? I see what you're saying, Path. I mean, I've had so many glitches today. I'm going to try and complete this, and then I'll just shut up, okay? So anyway, what Mark Moss was trying to indicate is that I'll go back to the previous paragraph. So with all their consolidation of power of the elites, we're left with inflation, wars, broken supply chains, open borders, weaponized judicial system, smash and grab burglaries, tent cities, and all with the woke activism sprinkled on top. Think of Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light, Target, Disney, Netflix, Apple, Facebook, Google, AT&T, MLB, the NFL, the NBA, and thousands more, all officially wokesters. They are losing billions, but they don't actually care. If your baby girl says she's a boy, well, by golly, he's a boy, and vice versa. Block or inject the appropriate hormones. It's really simple. Full transactivism and displays of Satan worship reign supreme at Target. I've seen it, okay? I've also seen it at Walmart and a couple of other places. Add to the mix an alphabet mousetrap hoisted upon us by Xi Jinping or Klaus Schwab or the Gateses or the Finks or the Soroses or all of the above, and it all reeks of modern day communism. That's exactly what it is. The lettered ingredients include our social credit score, SCS, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, environmental social governance, ESG, and corporate equality index, CEI. So just when did our legislators introduce a bill on any of these social movement metrics and put it up for a vote? They didn't. In the hands of an extreme leftist world improver, our democratic republic drove right off El Capitan. El Capitan is the big vertical cliff in, what's the big park in Northern California? Yosemite. The world we're going into is not the world we are leaving behind. Only one option remains for creating a free and better society for the sovereign individual, and that means national secession. This is not a story about South Carolina in the 1860s. It's about here and now today. The second secession in the United States in 2023. It just happens to coincide with the Pluto return. The difference with this secession is that it's economic in nature, which was also very true back in 1776 when you think about the Boston Tea Party and how those folks were sick of paying taxes to the king, okay? Hello. The collusion among big tech, big government, and our cultural institutions drew first blood by canceling and censoring more than half the United States population of those with conservative views. In other words, media censorship. If you do not agree with the vaccinations, you support biological males participating in women's sports, you object to drag queen shows in your public elementary schools, then you are not following the party line. Bye-bye. You are out. You're excommunicated. You are now a criminal. The only path for economic and cultural participation is secession. In other words, just don't play their game. Refuse to participate. So a new system of freedom is blossoming. Thus, the parallel economy was born. It's actually still in gestation right now. I don't see it as born. If you can't join them, build, fight, and compete with them. The parallel economy idea was promoted in 2020 after the removal of Parler, which was a conservative competitor to Facebook. That was just wiped out. Parler was wiped out, obliterated. After 3 short years, the parallel economy is set for prime time. It's truly happening now. There are enough Americans, 75 million of us, who refuse to go down with the elite agenda. Conservative Americans, headlines, the latest issue of The Economist, are building a parallel economy. You see that? That's from The Economist magazine. Conservative Americans are building a parallel economy. It's true. Note that this article is not from Fox, The Blaze, or even the Epoch Times. The Economist magazine is actually a globalist, left-wing, globally aligned source of coverage of the failed Keynesian economic systems. So, welcome to the Parallel Party. This economic secession movement has made great strides over the past several years. It continues to gain momentum every day. The revival of freedom in America will prevail through the marketplace of ideas and sound money, real money, things like gold, silver, even Bitcoin, and barter for services and goods. Now, you can contribute to this succession movement by actively participating in the parallel economy. Here are a few good sources to get you started in the right direction. So he goes through places like Public Square. It's an app all about freedom. Rumble, which is sort of like a mini YouTube without the censorship. Patriot Mobile, it's a phone system for patriots. The Right Stuff dating app. The Red Balloon. Parallel economy. And so on. He's basically giving you tips and clues about how you can sort of participate. A culture of patriotic, freedom-loving people who want to thrive and create a new and better civilization. Basically reconstituting the Constitution and redeclaring the Declaration of Independence. How appropriate for Saturn retrograde and Pluto retrograde right now. Anyway, after that he goes on to promote his show. But you see, I'm not the only one who talks about these things. This fellow Mark, he has 500,000 subscribers. Some of the folks I align with, they have 1 million, 2 million subscribers. And it's becoming very, very hard for YouTube and Google to censor and block their content because the content is true. And I told you the story about how Google has had to apologize and remove its notes all about censoring everything about January 6, 2021. Okay? So, okay, let me go over here. I want to finish off with something. See, I don't feel like I'm insane. I feel like I'm one of a small number of people, the very, very lucky people on Earth. Remember that across the world, nobody else has our Constitution. Nobody else has this. We're incredibly lucky, especially when you go over here. This is the Bill of Rights, 1791. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free speech and exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In other words, we the people have the right to speak up against our government if they are not serving us properly according to the people that we elected. to do the job. Number 2, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In other words, the founders knew very, very well that if the First Amendment is threatened, you still got the Second Amendment to take it back again. So that's where we are. Mark Moss, I just read his stuff. He's actually doing a meeting with Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a Republican presidential candidate. Tucker did his latest show, Tucker on Twitter, and it was a real middle finger to Fox, because what happened is Fox did one of those Chiron blips underneath one of their own news shows about blah, 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 about Fox, blah, 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 about Joe Biden, who is a wannabe dictator. And within a few moments of that Chiron being placed on the Fox News show about the evils of Joe Biden, that Chiron was removed and replaced with an apology for the Chiron. And the Fox elites did that. And then Fox had an uproar from its viewers saying, why did you delete that thing? And it's because Fox News is compromised. Okay? Fox News is under extreme pressure from the owners' wives to go completely commie left-wing. So things are very difficult at Fox News right now. As predicted, the big wars, in other words, the Ukraine war, China wars, are getting very dirty, violent, ugly, and vicious. There's also a concept that the Ukraine war is also a massive, extremely expensive cover-up to keep Joe Biden's criminal activities a secret. And so Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has Joe by the testicles, basically saying, come on, Joe, cough up more billions, more weapons, or I snitch on you and the real crimes. So guess what? Moving on. Joe Biden is now fully outed. Chris Wray over at the FBI and some of the whistleblowers have now revealed that there are not just emails and Twitter files that expose the Biden crime family, but there are videos and phone calls that were recorded as an actual insurance policy by one of the corrupt dealers who was working with Hunter Biden. And now those phone calls and videos have surfaced, and it proves unequivocally that Joe Biden is the ultimate criminal. He is an absolute traitor to the United States. He's selling America for a few $1 million. Multi-trillion dollar economy he's selling for a few $1 million to stuff his own pocket. It's evil. So whatever you think Donald is doing, it doesn't compare to what the real criminals are doing. I mentioned earlier, China, it's in deep turmoil. Their internal economy is imploding. And the more that it implodes, the more belligerent they get. And that's all I can relate. I relate that directly to the Saturn and Pisces journey, retrograde for the next couple of years. The United States dollar, the United States government, we've talked about that many times. It's highly correlated with the Pluto and Capricorn retrograde energy right now and the end of the Pluto cycle from 250 years ago. It's the death cycle, okay? It's happening right now. Grassley exposed that info. Oh, okay. Thank you, Pat. Another thing I just wanted to end on here, the astrology that's going on with Donald Trump is absolutely mind-boggling. Some of you may know he is a Gemini Sun, Gemini Uranus, and Gemini North Node, okay? And it's in his 11th house of We the People. So let's flip this and put, where are we? We're going to put Leo on the horizon because he is a Leo ascendant. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the horizon right here. Okay, Leo and Aquarius right there. So this axis here, okay, it's still very, very strong. And it's the polarity between Pluto and what was Mars over the last 6 weeks. Now Venus, but this is moving on because Venus and Mars move relatively quickly over here. But the vibe is very, very strong. And as you might have noticed over the last 6 to 8 weeks, Donald has become extremely powerful. And his luminescence, his energy of a lighthouse, is becoming much bigger, more powerful, and brighter than ever before. In fact, it's just like the immune system we described earlier. The more and more that the elites try to crush him, the more powerful he becomes. So, he also has the North Node in Gemini. So his job is to speak truthfully and simply to the people in ways that are very easy to understand based on his Sagittarius South Node over here, which makes him extremely outspoken and very, very truthful and very, very honest by default. And that can be very offensive to some people. So anyway, that energy of Donald is very lit up right now with very powerful energy, with Sun, Moon, and Mercury right now, and soon to be the Gemini new moon. So his power is being amplified even more. And that becomes more and more of a problem for the elites. And it's happening over here in Donald's 11th house. So he is literally born as a person whose job, ultimate role, is to be a symbolic representation of we the people without turning into a megalomaniac on the 5th house equivalent energy over here. Okay? So he's basically living up to his birth story. But he probably didn't even realize himself the significance of his own lifetime here on planet Earth. But he's here, and it's happening right now. So, the Aquarius North Node of the United States is also being lit up. Oh, by the way, with Donald, he also is born with the Leo rising and Pluto and Mars in Leo. So it's an extremely powerful energy that can be used for better or worse. And it's a very warlike energy. You've probably noticed that he acts like an extremely powerful warrior. And that's what he does. Because it's almost impossible to take that man down. And no one has yet succeeded. And I doubt whether anybody will. So that to me was that's encouraging. Because I will be voting for this fellow. But it's amazing how the astrology works in all of this. I'm going to put my notes aside. I'm going to say bye-bye. And I just needed to get this out of my system. Maybe I wasn't supposed to talk. I understand Path, but I really felt I had to get this out of me because sometimes it just drives me nuts that I never had the chance to really converse. And anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. I'm going to say goodbye now over here. Take care, okay? Love thyself. Be loving, be loved. Do not take this for granted, okay? A lot of people died for this. A lot of people have died for this. Shed blood, okay? And we are the recipients of the benefits. So remember, attitude of gratitude, all right? Take care, everybody. It's been wonderful. Now I'm going to switch to some music so I don't lose this farewell because of the way YouTube has this extremely long delay now on my channel. So I'm going to sign out personally, but I'm going to keep the stream going, okay, if you don't mind. That's what it's going to look like. Take care. Hmm.